Breaking news: the world mourns today as Pope Francis, the 266th pontiff of the Catholic Church, has passed away at the age of 88. The Vatican confirmed his death early this morning, Easter Monday, at 7:35 a.m. local time. The Holy Father reportedly died in his private residence at the Domus Sanctae Marthae, following complications from a massive stroke and irreversible heart failure. It is a moment that resonates far beyond the borders of Vatican City, marking the end of a transformative era in Catholic history. Let's take a closer look at the key details surrounding this monumental event, the global reaction to his passing, and the legacy Pope Francis leaves behind. The Camerlengo of the Church, Cardinal Kevin Farrell, delivered the somber announcement during a live Vatican broadcast, a rare and poignant moment in the modern era of the Church. Official announcement and the hours leading up to his passing. According to Vatican physician Dr. Andrea Arcangeli, Pope Francis suffered a fatal stroke in the early hours of the morning. This followed a prolonged struggle with double pneumonia, diabetes, and high blood pressure, conditions that had placed his health in precarious standing in recent months. Pope Francis had spent over a month receiving care at Rome's Gemelli Hospital and was discharged just 10 days prior. Medical experts had advised him to rest, but Francis characteristically chose to redirect his strength towards serving his congregation. His final act of leadership. On Easter Sunday, he gave what would become his final blessing to the faithful gathered in St. Peter's Square. Visibly weakened but steadfast, he prayed for peace, unity, and the triumph of faith over despair. It was a moment that now, in hindsight, encapsulated his entire ministry. Selfless, compassionate, and resolutely focused on those in need, even in the face of personal suffering. Pope Francis, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, Argentina, in 1936, was a pontiff of many firsts. Elected in 2013, he was the first pope from the Americas, the first Jesuit pope, and a leader who quickly signaled that his papacy would be one of radical, meaningful change. Over his 12 years as the head of the Catholic Church, Francis broke through centuries-old traditions to champion a new era of inclusion, transparency, and social advocacy. He overhauled Vatican bureaucracy, improving financial accountability and addressing internal corruption. He prioritized those often marginalized by society, advocating tirelessly for refugees, the economically disenfranchised, and the environment, calling on global leaders to take meaningful steps in combating climate change. Francis was unafraid of controversy either. While he upheld traditional Catholic teachings in many respects, he opened discussions on previously taboo subjects like same-sex unions and the role of women in the Church. His stances received both praise from progressive corners and fierce criticism from conservative factions in the Church. Yet, through it all, the Pope remained committed to dialogue, mercy, and reconciliation, values he believed lay at the core of the Christian faith. As news of his passing spread, tributes began streaming in from leaders, clergy, and ordinary people worldwide. King Charles III described Francis as a moral and spiritual giant whose wisdom transcended faith divisions. In a rare statement, Dalai Lama Tenzin Gyatso called him a partner in the global journey for compassion and humanity. U.S. President Joe Biden, himself a Catholic, noted that Francis's work on poverty and climate justice will echo through the ages. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky credited the pontiff for his unwavering moral support during the war in Ukraine. Members of the Catholic hierarchy also expressed their grief, including Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, Francis' predecessor, who referred to his passing as both a personal and institutional loss for the Church. Pope Francis' funeral preparations will follow specific Vatican traditions, though he had made some unorthodox final requests. His body will lie in state at St. Peter's Basilica for public viewings over several days, during which millions of pilgrims are expected to travel to Rome to pay their respects. In an unexpected departure from tradition, Francis requested to be buried with simplicity. He will not rest in the papal grotto beneath St. Peter's Basilica, but instead at Santa Maria Maggiore, the church where he prayed before embarking on his transformative papacy in 2013. His funeral is slated to take place later this week, expected to draw the largest gathering of world leaders and spiritual dignitaries seen in recent history. As the Catholic world mourns, the Church now turns to the momentous task of electing Francis's successor. Per tradition, a papal conclave will be convened in the Sistine Chapel, tentatively scheduled between May 6th and May 11th. Speculation is already swirling over likely candidates, with names like Cardinal Pietro Parolin and Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle as potential frontrunners. With tensions over doctrinal conservatism and reform still fresh, the conclave's outcome could reshape the Church's future path or continue the progressive trajectory set by Francis. The passing of Pope Francis feels like more than the end of a papacy. It is the closing of a chapter in the history of the Catholic Church and beyond. His legacy will be remembered as one that prioritized compassion over convention, serving with humility, courage, and grace. Stay tuned as we continue covering every aspect of this monumental story, from tributes to the conclave and everything in between. And don't forget to subscribe for real-time updates and deep dives into the legacy of one of the most remarkable popes of our time. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. He will be remembered as a pope who prioritized compassion over convention, a man of the people who served with humility, courage, and grace. Stay tuned as we continue covering every aspect of this monumental story, from tributes to the conclave and everything in between. And don't forget to subscribe for real-time updates and deep dives into the legacy of one of the most remarkable popes of our time. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.